Now, I said at the start of the program, and I believe this to be true, this was my favourite story across the whole weekend. And it's the story of a New Zealand professor, Christoph Bartneck, an associate professor from the University of Canterbury in New Zealand. His research is usually into human-robot interaction, but recently he was invited to present a paper on nuclear physics at a conference in the United States. Christoph acknowledges this isn't his area of expertise, but it didn't stop him writing the paper, and he came up with a rather novel way of doing it. Christoph joins us from the University of Canterbury. A very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you too.
Christoph, I love this story because it says something, but I'm not sure what it is yet. Tell us, how did you go about the writing of a paper and a subject that you knew actually very little about?
Well, you see, as an academic, I do get quite a few invitations to present at conferences or to submit my work to journals. That is quite normal, but recently we've really been swarmed with a lot of invitations to conferences that don't seem like as if they would be particularly interested in science. So what I figured is just to, approach this from an empirical point of view, and the only way to judge whether a conference is really good is to see how good its peer review is. That means when you submit a paper to a conference, usually, this is being examined by some experts and you get some feedback and, you might get accepted, you might get rejected. But in this particular instance, of course, I can't write a paper on nuclear physics because I'm just not knowledgeable in this. And of course, I could have copied the Wikipedia article, but that seemed a bit too blunt. So I figured, one way of doing it is to use just a bit of software that comes on every mobile phone, which is just, if you open any kind of text editor, iOS has an autocomplete function. So if you start a sentence with physics and then you just start hitting the autocomplete, it does generate some sort of sentences that, if you look superficially at it, might pass. But of course, if you start reading it, you very easily.
Okay, so you're
rubbish.
So what you're saying is you've been invited to submit a paper to the International Conference on Atomic and Nuclear Physics, and you choose to use iOS autocomplete to write it. Now, I don't know if you've got a paragraph in front of you, but I have a paragraph in front of me. Do you mind if I borrow your work to read it?
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay, this is just one of the paragraphs, as Christoph's been invited to this conference to talk about his area of expertise, nuclear physics. This was one of his paragraphs, courtesy of the technology on his phone. The atoms of a better universe will have the right, for the same as you are the way we shall have to be a great place for a great time to enjoy the day. You are a wonderful person to your great time to take the fun and take a great time and enjoy the great day. You will be a wonderful time for your parents and kids. And that is a sample sentence. And I can only believe, Christoph, that someone at the other end read that and said, this man is one of the finest minds in nuclear physics in the world.
Obviously. They could have also mistaken me for some sort of Shakespeare, of course. But now the truth of the fact is that they didn't read it at all. And this is exactly the point here. And that's also the reason why I engage this kind of activity, is that the power of science lies in it being self-critical. We reflect on what we do, how we do it, and what kind of results we produce. And this is essentially an exercise to test whether this conference does have a peer review process and if, at what quality level. And of course, the fact that they just accepted the paper clearly shows there was no peer review. There's no examination of the papers, which really means that this conference is nothing else than a company trying to make money. And that is unfortunately something that we have to deal with increasingly, is that we're being essentially invited to all kind of garbage conferences.
And now I assume you didn't submit it under your name, that is the good name of Christoph Bartneck, Associate Professor from the University of Canterbury in New Zealand. Did you give yourself another name?
Oh, well, you see, you have to be careful with this because, I'm not into physics, and this might have very well been a very good conference. And you have to be a little bit careful when you do this kind of exercises. And I invented an alter ego, which I call not Siri, but Iris, and not Apple, but Pear. And I put the address of, the Apple headquarters in there. So I think any serious person would have figured this out if they actually had read it or had looked at it. And even the photograph in there was actually from the actor, the voice actor who actually voiced acted the series. So in that case, it is bloody obvious that this is, not something serious. They don't look at it, they just accept it because the only thing that they're interested in is our money. We spending money on attending the conference. That's the only thing they care. And that is not what a scientific conference is supposed to be about. A scientific conference is supposed to be about the exchange of ideas, the discussion of academics, and this conference is achieving neither. So this kind of conferences should be banned, and I think this now is an empirical proof that this particular conference is rubbish. And this is not the first case this happened. I think like half a year ago, this is my favorite examples of people trying to, reflect a bit on this. Is one of my colleagues got so obsessed or so angry at continuously being invited to these conferences that he wrote a paper which only consisted of 800 repetitions of the sentence, "Get me off your fucking email list." And even that was accepted. So clearly there's something wrong with companies trying to make a quick buck at the expense of the public and the expense of public funding. And so I hope this helps to stop this kind of conferences from popping up.
Let it be a warning to them. Christoph, it's lovely to speak to you. Thank you very much. Christoph Bartnek, who is a Director of Postgraduate Studies at the HIT Lab at the University of Canterbury. Of course, he is available if you'd like him to come along and talk to you about nuclear physics, of which he has almost no expertise, but he has proven that to some that doesn't even matter.